have no permanent allies, only permanent interests, might be said to apply, mutatis mutandis, to himself as well. Indeed, his description of a psychopath, incapable of conceiving an interest other than his own, and perhaps genuinely indifferent to the well-being of others, comes perilously close to a self-portrait. So Finkelstein, by virtue of Hitchens' own words, describing a psychopath as saying, look in the mirror. To discover our true human nature, Freud once wrote, just reverse society's moral exhortations. If the Commandant says not to commit adultery, it's because we all want to. This simple game can be played with Hitchens as well, when he avows, I attempt to write as if I did not care what reviewers said, what peers thought, or what prevailing opinion might be. One should read, my every word is calculated for its public effect. Hitchens has riotous fun heaping contempt on several of the volunteer human shields who left our rafts before the bombing began. They obviously didn't have the guts. He jeers, hunkered down in his Washington foxhole. Bearing witness to his own bravery, Hitchens reports in March 2003 that although even the wife of New York Times columnist Tom Friedman is having doubts about going to war, quote, I am fighting to keep my nerve.
So this is a popular club. Go to war. These intellectuals are convinced Iran has got nuclear weapons because
yeah, well, this is in 2003. So this is Hitchens' view. 2003, before they went into Iraq. He's got to keep his nerve, plugging to go in there. He's not going. Truly a profile in courage, as he exiles himself in the political wilderness, alongside the Bush administration, Congress, a majority of US public opinion, and his employers in the major media. Vanity Fair is owned by the Jews. Outraged at the taunt that he who preaches war should perhaps consider fighting it, Hitchens impatiently recalls that since September 11th, quote, civilians at home are no safer than soldiers abroad. So the guy was totally a dumbass.
He's blaming the Arabs.
Yeah, just completely fell for the party line. Loving Bush. Yes, let's go to war. Take it out on the Muslims for what they did to us with their box cutters and...
Anyhow, the angels took him out, so.
They did.
Finkelstein is right.
And that, in fact, he's not just a target, but the main target, quoting, the whole point of the present phase of conflict is that we are faced with tactics that are directed primarily at civilians. It is amazing that this essential element of the crisis should have taken so long to sink into certain skulls. No doubt modesty and tact forbid Hitchens from drawing the obvious comparison. While cowardly American soldiers frantically covered themselves in protective gear and held their weapons at the ready, he patrolled his combat zone in Washington, D.C., unencumbered. Lest we forget, Hitchens recalls that ours is an all-volunteer army where soldiers willingly exchange fairly good pay for obedience to authority. Quote, who would have this any other way? For sure, not those who will never have to volunteer. It's a standing question as to whether the power of words ultimately derives from their truth value, or if a sufficiently nimble mind can endow words with comparable force, regardless of whether they are bearers of truth or falsity. For those who want to believe that the truth content of words does matter, reading the new Hitchens comes as a signal relief. Although redoubtable as a left-wing polemicist, as a right-wing one he only produces doubt, not least about his own mental poise. Deriding Chomsky's very vulgar harnessing of facts, Hitchens wants to go beyond this empiricism of the crudest kind. His own preferred epistemology is full on display for all to judge in Long Short War. To prove that after supporting dictatorial regimes in the Middle East for 70 years, the US has abruptly reversed itself now and wants to bring democracy where he cites conversations I've had on this subject in Washington to demonstrate the glaringly apparent fact that Saddam infiltrated or suborned or both the UN inspection teams in Iraq. He adduces the incontrovertible case of an inspector offered a bribe by an Iraqi official. The man in question refused the money, but perhaps not everybody did. Citing the brilliant film called Nada, Hitchens proposes this radical redefinition of terrorism, the tactic of demanding the impossible and demanding it at gunpoint. Al-Qaeda is accordingly terrorist because it posits an impossible world of clerical absolutism, but judging by this definition, the Nazi Party wasn't terrorist because it posited a possible world without Jews, claiming that every country will resort to preemptive war and that preemptive is indistinguishable from preventive war. Hitchens infers that all countries will invariably decide that violence and first use are justified, and none can be faulted on this account, which makes you wonder why he's so hot under the collar about Saddam's invasion of Kuwait. Hitchens maintains that there is a close fit between the democratically minded and the pro-American in the Middle East. Like President for Life, Hosni Mubarak, King Abdullah of Jordan, that Washington fully grasped that there were root causes behind the murder attacks, but didn't Hitchens ridicule any allusion to root causes as totalitarian apologetics? That racism is anti-American as nearly as possible by definition, that evil can be defined as the surplus value of the psychopath? Is there a Bartlett for worst quotations? That the US's rejoining of UNESCO during the Iraq debate proved its commitment to United Nations, that empirical proofs have been unearthed showing that Iraq didn't comply with United Nations resolutions to disarm, that since the UN solicits US support for multilateral missions, it's idle chatter to accuse the US of acting unilaterally in Iraq, that they're like, anyway, on and on.
Brilliant stuff.
On one page, Hitchens states that the world fundamentally changed after September 11th because civilians are in the front line as never before. But on another page, he states that during the 1970s, quote, I was more than once within blast or shot range of the IRA and came to understand that the word indiscriminate meant that I was as likely to be killed as any other bystander. On one page he states that even if the US doesn't attack or threaten to attack, Saddam Hussein is not going to survive. His regime is on the verge of implosion. But on another page he states that only the force of American arms or the extremely credible threat of that force can bring a fresh face to power. On one page he states that the US seems committed to completely overhauling Iraq's political system, but on another page he states that replacing Saddam with another friendly general might be ideal from Washington's point of view. On one page he states that of course it's about oil, stupid, but on another page he states that it was not for the sake of oil that the US went to war. In one paragraph he states that the US must attack Iraq even if it swells the ranks of Al-Qaeda, but in the next paragraph he states that the task of statecraft is not to swell its ranks.
Brilliant.
So this is Finkelstein pulling to pieces.
You're right on top.
In the first half of one sentence, he argues that since one cannot know the future, policy can't be based on likely consequences, but in the second half he concludes that policy should be based on a reasoned judgment about the evident danger. Writing before the invasion, Hitchens argued that the US must attack even if Saddam offers self-exile in order to capture and punish this heinous criminal. Shouldn't he urge an attack on the US to capture and punish Kissinger? And it must attack because Saddam started colluding with Al-Qaeda after the horrific crimes of September 11th. Should the US have been attacked for colluding with Saddam's horrific crimes? Not after, but while they unfolded before September 11th? France is the only truly unilateralist government on the Security Council, according to Hitchens, a proof being that 20 years ago it sank a Greenpeace vessel, next to which the US wars in Central America apparently pale by comparison. He assails French President Jacques Chirac in a masterful turn of phrase as a balding Joan of Arc in drag, and blasts France with the full arsenal of Berlitz's most commonly used French expressions. For bowing to popular anti-war sentiment in Germany, German Chancellor Gerhard Schroeder stands accused of cheaply playing this card, while in the near-unanimous opposition of the Turkish people to war, Hitchens detects evidence of ugly egotism and selfishness. He says that Wolfowitz wants democracy and emancipation, which must be why Wolfowitz rebuked the Turkish military for not stepping in after the Turkish people vetoed participation in the war. A principled policy cannot be measured, Hitchens sniffs, by the number of people who endorse it. But for a principled Democrat, the number of people endorsing a policy does decide whether to implement it. Hitchens' notion of democracy is his comrade, ex-Trotskyist, but ever-opportunist Kanan Makia, conjuring up a complex and ambitious plan to totally remake Iraq in Boston and presenting it for ratification at an eager conference in London. The invective he hurls at French, German and Turkish leaders for heeding the popular will shows that Hitchens hasn't at any rate completely broken faith with his past. Contemptuous of transient poles of opinion, he's still a Trotskyist at heart, guiding the benighted masses to the promised land, if through endless wars and safely from the rear. Most of long-short war is given over to passing words. According to Hitchens, all the key terms of the debate on Iraq are meaningless. In his hands, this is probably true. For many years, Hitchens impressed some readers with his verbal facility. Now his ego delights in testing whether, through sheer manipulation of words, he can pass off flatulent emissions as bouquets. It perhaps would be funny watching fatuous readers fawn over gibberish were not human life at stake. Hitchens can't believe a word he's saying, in contrast to bursting windbags like Vaclav Havel, so this is the other dude that died. Hitchens is too smart to take his vaporizings seriously. It's almost an inside joke as he signals each ridiculous point with the assertion that it's obvious. Hitchens resembles no one so much as the Polish emigre hoaxer Jerzy Kosinski, who, shrewdly sizing up intellectual culture in America, used to give, before genuflecting Yale undergraduates, lectures on such topics as the art of the self, the theory of le moi poétique. Translation for this wanger: it's all about moi. Kosinski, no doubt, had a good time of it until, outed as a fraud, he had enough good grace, which Hitchens plainly lacked, to commit suicide. Whoa, he doesn't pull any punches, does he? And for Hitchens, it's also lucrative nonsense that he's peddling. It's not exactly a martyr's fate, defecting from the Nation, a frills-free liberal magazine, to Atlantic Monthly, the well-heeled house organ of Zionist crazies. Although Kissinger affected to be a solitary, gaunt hero, Hitchens says in reality he was just a corpulent opportunist. It sounds familiar. That's what he ends with. Finkelstein is the author of The Holocaust Industry, and image and reality of the Palestinian conflict. He's a contributor to Cockburn and St. Clair's The Politics of Anti-Semitism. Now, this counterpunch has suffered a death this week of somebody who was really important to them. This counterpunch is a political site where they all... He says, we are closing in on the end of a turbulent and traumatic year. We have lost our dear friend Alexander Cockburn. We still feel numb. Alex's death has left a huge void, not only here at Counterpunch, but across the global left. His voice is irreplaceable.
After hearing that.
So this is America's best political newsletter, Counterpunch.
So if we go to this clown and he's not talking about us, he's dead mate, right?
Yeah.
Where are we going to find this guy? He's supposed to have a great voice.
No, I'm talking about Hitchens. He's already dead.
Yeah, but the one he talked about.
And this was Finkelstein.
Yeah, but Finkelstein mentioned someone else.
No. I went back to this other dude is already... Oh, yeah. Right, the
other dude.
Oh, yeah, Vaclav's already dead, and the other dude. 3 were dead.
So we've got to hear what they say.
Vaclav. Vaclav Havel.
3 major demons here.
Okay, so it wasn't all in the same... Oh, wait on. Vaclav Havel, yeah, yeah. Whoa. He was born the 5th of October 1936, died the 18th of December 2001. 3 days after... 3 days after...
Yeah.
The other dude.
22. The Nation 0.
Vaclav obituary, World News, The Guardian. Czech playwright and former dissident who led his nation after the collapse of communism. Dies at 75. So he was the Czech Republic's first president after the Velvet Revolution.
Yes, yeah.
It's late. Who would be calling?
White Tower.
Hello. Oh, it's Karen. Hi, Evan. How are you going? That's good. I know. I'll just hand you to Mum. Hang on.
Hi, babe. Oh. Yes, hello, yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 Right. Oh, okay, he's run out of... He said his phone would die. Oh, he said... no, his phone ran out. He's going to take out an admin paper, English, $40 an hour.
$40 an hour?
Yeah.
What do you mean $40?
He can teach English.
Oh, he can teach English?
He was saying Poland's not a country, it's a state of mind. And he said, nobody cares. Nobody cares. He's been telling person after person after person, and every single one of them says, you know what, that's great, however, really don't care. He said, it's not a country, it's a state of mind. And I said, here, that's what Claudia said. I said, like the place she's working at, posh people go in there. He says, they're fucked here, Mum. They're not like anywhere in the world. And then I said one word to describe them. He said, wannabe Jews. And then he said, poison. So I go, money, money, money. He said, yep, pretty much. No soul.
They'd be headed to 96 on Pollock. Underestimated the evil.
Mm.
That was the date when I was going to visit in Russia.
Yeah, it's the 70-year anniversary of the massacre.
How many people died? 1,500, isn't it?
I don't remember. Oh, yeah, but anyway, he's going to take an ad in the paper, teaching English.
So he's put an ad in the paper.
He's going to put an ad in the paper.
Teaching him $40 an hour.
Yeah, 120 zloty. Wannabe Jews. Yeah. Oh, well.
In the meantime, starts praying.
Yeah. Got the plan.
So they dare not arrest him, because then he has to go before a court.
Oh, excuse me.
He can do virtually what he likes, no one touches him. Just watching. So he starts praying, Christ is back, blah, blah, blah. He's come to raise you from the dead. You're all dead. You're on the state of mind. Put that in on the tag.
Oh, excuse me. Now, where was the Kim? Is it Kim? Oh. 17th of December. So 15th, 17th, 18th December. That was Kim Jong, North Korea.
I mean, there's tremendous things happening, isn't there? You've got to find that Obama 2 years ago speech for the 21st of December 2012 after the catastrophe. The government was taking over, ruling from underground. They already made the damn thing. So they could have killed him at Denver like they predicted. Since he's rising from the dead. Told him he could stay as president. All these nuclear bombs that Israel has got, they're all made with Chinese bits. The software fails after a period of time. Little chips. So they're designed to disintegrate. They're clever. So they can't arm the bombs anymore. They've been out-taught by the Chinese, by assembling the parts. With the timers or whatever, the capacitors and resistances and so on, by pair junctions. And they have a use-by date. So the use-by date might be 4 years, 5 years. In that time, these component parts are not made in nuclear weapons, they're in games and computers. But it doesn't matter after 5 years if it fails. But in the ordinary computer. So they use these parts that are designed to fail. Now that's not too smart. So a capitalist will sell the rope and the timber and be the contractor to build the gallows for its own execution.
I'm just reading...
Think of that.
No, this is from Diana. She sent something. Private Attorney General Rod Class talks about how an administrative claim removes immunity. Great news, Rod Class bombshell. Rod Class gets fourth administrative ruling. Government offices are vacant. All government officials are private contractors. Yes, you read that correctly, it is true, and is now on the court record. Black ink on white paper, please read on. A lot of us have been exposing the crime of the United States corporation for many years, but until recently no one has had the proof that all government offices are vacant. No one is home. Those supposed government offices, agencies, are being occupied by private contractors and are not being occupied by a legitimate government body.
So because I've killed them all off. How many government officials in key positions have been killed and replaced by a Jew. So that official government policy at the printer can inform the general public anything it wishes in a lightning strike.
There's a diversion for the moment, so I'm looking for here we go. Pre-recorded message for December 21, 2012.
You got a video?
Yeah, wait on this. Worldwide, okay. Secret pre-recorded video from President Obama responding to the 2012 disaster leaked. Worldwide devastation and tragedy acknowledged. And then in brackets it says, this video is a what-if message for entertainment purposes only. 953,000 people have seen it. Can put the speakers in?
Yeah, they're in. On this one at least. Oh, here, yeah.
Here we go. Oh.
Government is working under extraordinarily difficult conditions. Many communications are down and remain
Millions dead from asteroid hit, it says across the front.
What is that?
Millions dead
Right.
from asteroid hit.
Okay.
and many people remain unaccounted for. The scale of devastation is extraordinary, as I think all of us are seeing on television, and the losses are heartbreaking. I pledged America's continued commitment to the government.
And then it breaks, it says, one moment please.
Effort to save lives and deliver relief, and in the long-term effort to rebuild. That it is absolutely essential that these efforts
And it's got devastation around the globe.
are well coordinated with the United Nations, which continues to play an essential role, and with the many international partners and aid organizations that are now on the ground.
Oh, and then it's one moment please, experiencing difficulty, so it's making out that...
Search and rescue efforts continue to work, pulling people out of the rubble, often under extraordinarily difficult circumstances. Food, water, and medicine continues to arrive along with doctors and aid workers. The entire world stands with the government and the people. We all see the common humanity that we share. And as the international community continues to respond, I do believe that America has a continued responsibility to act. Our nation has a unique capacity to reach out quickly and broadly and to deliver assistance that can save lives. That responsibility obviously is magnified when the devastation that's been suffered
Vaccinations.
is so near to us. It's characteristic of the American
Survivors must stay underground to avoid radiation.
people to help others in time of such severe need. That's the spirit that we will need to sustain this effort as it goes forward. There are going to be many difficult days ahead. So many people are in need of assistance, and the roads are damaged. Food is scarce, and so is water. It will take time to establish distribution points so that we can ensure that resources are delivered safely and effectively and in an orderly fashion. We'll do what it takes to save lives in this effort. I want to thank
all Vivos shelters are now sealed.
Our people on the ground, our men and women in uniform who have moved so swiftly, our civilians and embassy staff, many of whom suffered their own losses in this tragedy, and those members of search and rescue teams from Florida and California and Virginia who've left their homes and their families behind to help others. To all of them, I want you to know that you demonstrate the courage and decency of the American people, and we are extraordinarily proud of you. I also want to thank the American people more broadly. In these tough times, you've shown extraordinary compassion. And tomorrow I will be meeting
Please remain underground for the next 12 months.
With President Clinton and President George W. Bush here at the White House to discuss how to enlist and help the American people in this recovery and rebuilding effort going forward. It was an emotional moment, and this president, seeing the devastation around him, passed this message to the American people. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, so that was uploaded January 28th, 2010.
So, by rights, he should already be dead. This has all been play acted out. Silly bastard, as soon as he done that, he's a dead man. So, that's why he goes to Denver. How long before or after that, Denver? That happened maybe before Denver, right?
Yeah, the year before.
That's right. So they lure him to Denver. They're going to take him under and kill him in the most possible horrid way. With his children tortured to death, sacrificed, blood drunk. And his wife. And him. In the most horrid way. Do you get in this, son? You're the best I can do. You're a nigger. No, forget it. But didn't go. Now he believes, now, he's doing his time. He's cutting the money off. I think, well, we could kill him now. We've got all these tapes. They can't get rid of him. Keeps him popping up. See, when the bullshit hoax of the moon, it was Nixon who had made a speech to the world, which was going to be intentionally leaked, that if there was a disaster and the men don't come back from the moon, they'd be honoured. And he's got this speech already out, making out, I'm sorry, they didn't make it.
Yeah.
The heroes are all dead.
Right.
They could have very well done that. That's that Capricorn 1 movie. A brilliant actor in that, I forget his name.
Знаете, последний президент. Поэтому все, это последний президент. Больше выборов не будет Америки. А что будет? Донецкий, она десятки триллионов фальшивых долларов. Они пирамиду планетарного масштаба, вроде Германской, в тюрьме. Вот это Америка. В тюрьме государство сидят.
Sounded genuine, didn't it?
Америка, конечно. Это хорошо для будущего человечества. Сегодня это удар по всей финансовой системе мира. Миллион людей сойдут с ума. Миллион людей будут жить от инфаркта.
Okay, this was These are Russians, a panel of Russians talking. This is in 2008. And it's being flashed across the scene what they're saying. USA is being destroyed. That is it. It is finished. Do you know that Obama is going to be the last president? African American. What is next? No more elections, no more USA. It is finished. It is dying. It is going to fall into separate states. Tens of trillions of fake dollars they have created, pyramid of planetary proportions. We cannot place entire government in jail. Oh. This is why USA is finished. This is good for the future of humanity. But today this is a heavy strike against entire financial system of the world. Millions of people will go insane, receive either stroke or heart attack. This is all the fault of United States. There are 300 million residents and 5.7 billion people are suffering. Do not you think that we are trying to bury it a little bit too early? They wrote themselves in 1997, I read in their magazine, that in 2008 will be held last election and African American will win. Who wrote it? They wrote it. I read it myself. At first I thought it is fiction. Why? They are trying to bury themselves. It was 1997 and they determined who will be president in 2008. Obama was not even there yet. November 4th, they will elect him. So this is before the election. Oh, it is their data. It is in their data. So it's 2008. Group of Russians speaking, debating amongst themselves.
Well, the Russians always said they'll overcome America by infiltration of their software. It's just Kaspersky. Get that in your software and they're uploading and downloading from every computer in the world. The Russian Kaspersky controls it. Show how clever they are. They'll put a Trojan in and then take it out, which has found a Trojan on your computer. They put it in there seconds before. Get the count up. There's the cheese over there. Found 27 Trojans. 8 round way. Do a circle and come back and figure out. What they have got is a backdoor to everyone's computer via your software. It's nothing. Very easy to do. Kids can do that. So hopefully they've done it to ours. So these are the three we knocked off, is it?
Yeah, the 15th, 17th and 18th of December last year. So Hitchens went first, and the Czech, and then North Korea.
The Prime Minister.
North Korean.
President.
John, yeah, President.
He's a lunatic. On power now.
So it's interesting. You have Europe, America, and Asia.
Well, what did the Shemites do when they came from Palestine to build the pyramid? They closed every idol. Every demonic thing went. You think I'm not going to do anything less?
Exactly.
Hey, how are you? I want to finish.
This is interesting. This is was uploaded 27th of September last year. It's had 1.8 million views. It's in America and Obama's addressing. Looks like a rally. And then you've got this dude screaming out, Jesus Christ is God, Jesus Christ is God, Jesus Christ is God.
You know what I thought he was saying?
What?
Brian. Jesus Christ is Brian, I thought he was saying.
He's God.
What are they saying?
He's talking to the crowd. Is that his jacket?
First of all, I agree Jesus Christ is Lord. I believe in that. I do have a question. I think the young man may have left his jacket. So make sure that he gets his jacket. Oh, that's yours. Hold on. It's hers. And I think somebody's car keys are in there too. See, we're having all kinds of confusion here.
That's interesting. He just said, I agree. Jesus Christ is Lord.
And who's that talking?
Obama.
Oh. Well, see, he wouldn't be saying that if the party wasn't telling him what to say.
Hey, how are you? I want to finish.
Saying Jesus Christ is the one and true, only living God, creator of the heavens and the universe. And so Obama's face is he says, I agree.
What are they saying now?
4 more years. 4 more years.
Is that a jacket?
So he's gone over a wall. Showed him how to become an order.
Make sure everybody gets the jacket. Oh, that's yours. Hold on. It's hers. And I think somebody's car keys are in there too. See, we're having all kinds of confusion here.
What's going on here? Huh. This was 2008, before the election. He's in a prayer meeting where everybody's laying hands on him and praying for him.
So what do you make of that? Tell the people the Denver story about what we had found out. The workers were terrified to go down to the 10th level.
Yes, well, that's another YouTube that's out there. A lot of people have seen it, and yeah, the workers. It was, 27 levels altogether? Down
Some
from
fantastic amount. But the very bottom levels.
The last 10 levels were...
Something like that.
Yeah, the workers wanted out of there. They didn't want to work on it anymore. They were horrified.
So we told our farmer,
Yeah.
you go down there and you're gone.
Absolutely. And of
And
course...
they've already pre-recorded everything.
Yeah, and he's...
So I tell him what to say. Jesus Christ is Lord. So there we go. You're immortal. And you can stay prison. Don't go down there. And now he's mine. Cutting off the money for his run. He's got to know what Duke says to the Iranians when he went there. David Duke is champion.
And Obama is very aware of you
Oh, absolutely.
because of all the good work that Pamela did. She made sure. And his response was to her.
That's right. Well, she's learned to keep a yap shut.
Interesting. Now, I was looking... Oh, we found what we're looking for. So...
You got your ice cream?
Yes, we've got new ice cream today. Okay.
What?
Well, it'll be coming up for 555 in a minute. less than 30 seconds. Turn it off.
You want to stop it?
Yes.
Oh.